sit here and spend the whole week trying to make this game about Dak Prescott. Is that right?
It might not be right, but it's fair.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think it's the big moments that we talk about with Dak Prescott. We know Dak Prescott is a good quarterback in the National Football League, but I think the moments that he's had and the biggest moments he hasn't been. And I think that's why we continuously have these conversations. I do agree, like the defense has to stop the run. The San Francisco 49ers rush the football very effectively. So that's a component of this ball game that has to be looked at. But for Dak Prescott, this is that moment. He has to be better than Brock Purdy. If not, then it.
Well, what if he is? Question. What if Dak outplays Brock Purdy, but they don't win?
But I think if Dak plays well, they win the football game. Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, because earlier we talked about we talk about the 49ers offense. Who are you going to stop? Are you going to stop Kittle? Are you going to stop Ayuk? Are you going to stop who?
But here's the thing, Kimberly. Mm-hmm. The Dallas Cowboys defense in the playoffs last year, they played well.
Yeah, they did.
They played well. So the whole question of if Dak Prescott plays well, the Dallas Cowboys will win that game because their defense is up for the challenge.
It's not even play well. Don't play bad.
Yeah.
The past 2 times he's seen San Francisco, he's played poorly. He's been terrible on third down when it's become a passing situation. If Dak outplays Brock Purdy, they'll win. Because these two teams are so evenly keeled. Now, that's going to be easier said than done, though. Because the reality is Brock Purdy don't give the ball away.
Right.
Brock Purdy is wildly efficient. Brock Purdy makes sure that he doesn't hold on to the football. And one of the things is Kyle Shanahan's going to go Micah Parsons. We're going to run right at you. Mm-hmm. Micah didn't have a sack the 2 times that these teams have been in the playoffs. We're going to run the football right at you, and we're not going to let the pass rush that you excel at be part of the conversation.
Right. Something literally just jumped into my head, and so I'm going to ask this question aloud. Hembo over there, I don't know how quickly we could come up with this, but this is what just dawned on me. San Francisco's defense is so good. We're sitting here talking about Dak's struggles against them. To what degree does every quarterback struggle against them, which is to say, they win a lot of playoff games. They held Aaron Rodgers to nothing at home in a playoff game the following week after the first year that they beat Dallas when Dak didn't get the playoff. And then last year. This team wins playoff games by being great on defense. Yeah. They make all quarterbacks have games that are worse than their usual. I wonder if there's some way that we can contextualize
to quantify how good San Francisco's defense is?
Or how much worse Dak is against them than anybody else. You know what I mean? It's not just him.
Right.
They make every quarterback play their worst game.
Absolutely fair. But just like I said, it was fair for us to expect Daniel Jones to play better on Monday Night Football. It is absolutely fair for us to expect Dak Prescott play an elite level game against an elite level defense. That's okay nowadays. We can't always kind of asterisk like, oh man, he played against a good defense. He's been around long enough. He's played enough football. They got a good enough offensive line. They got good enough skill people. He's got a new play caller to expect Dak to play well. Couple things. Number one, I think he should live throwing the football to the left, Greeny. I think if he watches the same tape as me and we're watching San Francisco's defense, you have a tremendous amount of respect for it. But I'm throwing the football to the left because Charvarius Ward to the right is playing top 3, top 5 corner level.
Let me chime in real quick on that because I think that was one of the most underrated signings for the San Francisco 49ers last year.
Ward.
Because he's a guy, Charvarius Ward. He's a guy that came from Kansas City in the Steve Spagnuolo defensive system who loves the blitz, loves to play man coverage. So that added another component to their defense, a guy that's going to be physical in press coverage. So I do agree with you in that capacity.
Absolutely. Live to the left. You know a second thing that's going to have to be a storyline in this game if Dallas wants to win?
Yeah.
Unsolicited. When we talk about Patrick in big games, when we talk about Joe Burrow in big games, Josh Allen in big games, what's something like under the weeds that they do in big moments?
They use their legs.
Yep.
They use their legs. If you go back,
do that?
Not anymore.
Exactly.
So and I'm not talking design stuff. I'm talking like
improvising.
3rd and 6.
Run for a first down.
Get it.
Yep.
We haven't.
And in the red zone, too.
And if you go back and watch San Francisco's defense this year, not a ton of moments, and specifically last week with Josh Dobbs, that showed up, and it hurt their defense a little bit. I don't think it's unrealistic. Josh Dobbs played well against San Francisco's defense last week.
Yeah.
It's not fair for us to say that we want Dak to play better than that.
Yeah.
Come on.
But you know what?
That's okay for us to say.
But you know what, Greeny? We talk about Dak Prescott going against the 49ers defense, but Brock Purdy is going up against an elite defense as well in the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Look,
And
Hembo
got the stat.
Okay.
And Hembo's showing you why he's the best in the business at what he does.
Yep.
Look at that. So I stand, well, I'm not necessarily corrected, but I stand informed, and so do you. The numbers do show he has been worse.
And all others means all other quarterbacks.
All
right?
other quarterbacks against the Niners in the playoffs the last 2 seasons, in which they have knocked out the Cowboys each of those seasons. So if you think about who those quarterbacks were, just doing this off the top of my head, it was Matt Stafford. It was
Geno Smith.
Geno Smith.
Right.
It was Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
Right.
And
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. But there you go. And again, the Jalen Hurts game, you almost want to throw that game out
right,
because the 49ers didn't even have a quarterback by the time they got to halftime.
But the thing is though, it's not like Dak didn't have the plays to make.
Right.
You just got to make your layups. You got to make the plays when they present themselves.
Well, that
those
stat
numbers
tells the
could
story.
change.
You know what? That's why I'm glad we did that. That stat tells the story. And again, I apologize that we did it live on the air, but it just occurred to me.
It's great.
The reality of it is, yes, he has been more affected by that defense than everyone else. Yes, the other quarterbacks have played better, which I think answers the question, yes, it is reasonable to ask him to be better than that.
Absolutely. Him and CeeDee Lamb, I'd say, Greeny. Like, him and there's a lot of like, who wins in this game? It's Brock Purdy and Brandon Ayuk, who has become a number one NFL wideout, making big plays, versus Dak and CeeDee Lamb. And Dak is going to have to hit 3 or 4 throws down the field to CeeDee Lamb in this game for Dallas to win.
Well, my thing is, isn't this the reason why you go out and trade for Brandon Cooks?
Part of it, absolutely.
Part of it, you know, what we talked last year, one of the stats that we talked about last year with Dak Prescott, he had the separation. Outside of CeeDee Lamb, they had no receivers that could separate.
There was only one designed quarterback run. There should be a minimum of 5 tonight. You can use that athleticism not as a safety valve, but as a threat to the defense.
I love those tapes, and that one is another outstanding example. And what we have to find out, and I don't know that we will find this out immediately, is whether Justin Fields is a victim of his circumstances. No one is absolving him of all blame.
Wait, we don't know if he is or not?
Well, let me say this. We don't
know if that's the reason number why.
We don't know. There's no. Okay, so let me rephrase it then. He's unquestionably a victim of his circumstances.
Got it.
How
Okay.
much has he contributed to that himself? I guess is what we don't know.
Of course he has. You can't hold the ball in the pocket forever. You can't stare down people. You have to be decisive. You have and the fact that you saw it work last year, right? You saw glimpses and you said, okay, they're on an upward trajectory. Unfortunately, though, when your quarterback says, I got to play free, I got to play my style of football, obviously something isn't working. And I think, unfortunately for Justin, I was worried about this situation for him because it's not a stable organization. I think the Bears front office has to understand that they need to shift philosophy going forward. You cannot have a defensive-minded coach who thinks that you're just going to play physical, run the football with this kind of quarterback. You need to have somebody who's an offensive mind who is going to build this around the quarterback and make sure that his development is key. Drafting Justin Fields was about the next 10 years, not just the first season and the next season after that.
You know why it doesn't work? Because their defense stinks. You can't play that You can't play that style of football when your defense is a sieve. You just can't do it. Like when you know your defense is bad, your offense literally has to cut it loose. You got to play that style.
Look at the roster moves they've made. That's also part of it. Look at some of the trades they've made. Guys,
that's the biggest indictment on Matt Eberflus. You're a defensive-minded head coach. Your defense is awful. You can't be awful on the side of the ball that's supposed to be your specialty.
They've lost 14 consecutive games and allowed at least 25 points in all of them. You can't. There's no excuse for that.
They've lost 14 straight?
Yeah, they haven't won since last October. Year. It's now next
October. Yeah.
Well, let me bring this up. Where do you live?
Atlanta, Georgia.
What team did you play for down there?
Hello?
Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, how would they look right now if Justin Fields was their quarterback? Not next year, right now.
They will be better, but I will tell you this. That offense is not, you're not just going to learn that offense like that.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you.
He's going to put him and Bijan Robinson in the same backfield, and what's going to happen?
But they're going to be amazing.
Okay. So,
it won't.
Because you'll figure it out.
They're going to be amazing.
Figure out the rest of it, right? Figure out the rest of it. If the Bears lose tonight, it's over. I mean, maybe they fire everybody. Maybe they.
I also like New England trying to go get Justin Fields. The New England Patriots. I like that as well.
They had an opportunity. They took Mac. They could have moved up a little bit to get Justin.
Yeah, I mean, those guys went in the same
Because
draft,
when you don't have the skill position players, if you're New England, okay, give me a guy at the quarterback position that can make a splash, make something out of nothing.
I think it's unlikely that Justin Fields gets traded this year. But Justin's focus has to be 31 other teams. Because if they lose tonight, that organization is going to start to pivot to 2024. And is it Caleb Williams or Drake May? So the focus for Justin has to be making yourself as appealing to some other organization as possible.
Yeah, they could be more efficient if they draft both because they have the 2 first-round picks. Take Williams.
Don't do the Dominique Foxworth that he did years ago.
Just do it. That way you can ruin 2 quarterbacks in 3 years instead of it taking you 6 years.